Miguel, welcome to today, and thank you for the opportunity to interview you and to talk with you. I mean, interview for me is not really the right word, because I feel that you will be interviewing me based on your journey and your book and your life that you've been able to share for other people in a vulnerable way, is what we were talking about earlier off camera, that you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable. Can you tell me how and why you've done that, please?
I did that initially as an experiment. Yeah, it was an experiment when I realised that I needed to write a book and that I needed to write my story down, because people kept saying, "Oh, you've got an amazing story." Very early on, when this seed of writing my story happened, it became clear to me that I wanted to just share my story totally warts and all. So the beginning of my story was that my mother died when I was young. She died of cancer. Myself, my brothers and sisters were shipped out to live with extended members of the family while my dad went to work. He couldn't look after the kids and bring the money in. For a year I lived with my auntie, who sort of treated me as her firstborn child, if you like. And I'm aware that she was very fond of me. I was kind of like her first baby, and that she really loved me to bits. But then after a year of being with her, my dad remarried, and I was taken from my auntie and reunited with my brothers and sisters and my new stepmom. Already I've lost my mum once, and then I've kind of lost my auntie, lost my mum a second time. My stepmom turned out to be quite angry and abusive. She was, she was an angry woman.
Why was your stepmother an angry woman?
She hadn't had the best start to life. I know that her father was pretty angry and pretty abusive towards her, and so there was that kind of like pattern being repeated. She didn't realise what she'd taken on. When she married my dad, she took on 4 kids that weren't hers, and I think she kind of felt that he was just off going to work and doing his thing, and he wasn't around a lot when he wasn't working either, and she was kind of like the almost servant, sort of housekeeper, that just her job was to run the house and look after all these kids that weren't her kids.
Yeah, how annoying. I mean, how annoying. But was she aware that she was marrying a gentleman with 4 children?
Well, yeah. I mean, she will have been aware, but
yeah.
When I look back on my life, there are a lot of things that I've stepped into, and possibly I wouldn't have stepped into them if I'd have realised the gravity of what I was stepping into, and I imagine that there was an element of that.
Absolutely.
The idea of something is often very different to the reality, when the emotions start flowing and so on.
Yeah, interesting. Talking about flowing emotions already. For you, what are those emotions that are flowing within you?
When people say, "How are you?" And my response is often, "Oh, I'm all of it." And it feels to me as if all emotions flow through me. And sometimes people get sort of like fed up because they expect me to sort of say, "Oh yeah, I'm doing fine." And I won't say that if I'm not doing fine. And then I'll share, "Yeah, I know there's always a deep part of me that is fine and that is okay." But sometimes if I'm feeling upset, or I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling happy, or I'm feeling excited, I seem to feel all the emotions.
You do?
Yeah, full spectrum, with possibly a little bit more of the darker ones.
Oh yeah, so it's not only me then.
I suspect it's not only you, Dave. I suspect it's not only you. But I'm kind of working on feeling a little more of the joyous, lighter, easier to welcome sort of emotions.
Yeah.
Joy and bliss and sort of lightness is where I've set my intention,
You have? And so, how have you managed to reach these joyful moments and these blissful moments?
It's kind of like they just sort of arise, really. It's not... Although there's a kind of general intention, there isn't a specific sort of, oh right, well this is an opportunity to feel this now, so I'll go a bit deeper into it. And I think I have to share at this point that they're the exception. It still feels very much as if my default is a bit grey and a bit dark and a bit sort of sad.
Yeah.
As if that's wired. I'm still aware that's quite wired quite deeply within me.
Yeah, it's interesting you use that, the terminology wiring. Where does that wiring come from, in your opinion, Miguel?
In my opinion, it comes from my early childhood experiences.
Yeah.
It feels like that, you know, the earlier the experiences, the deeper and the more solid the wiring sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Not to suggest that it can't be brought from the deep and unwired and unchanged.
Yeah.
I very much believe that, and I'm aware of that, and it feels like that's kind of what my life's about. It's a constant sort of unwiring, rewiring job. I have very little conscious memories of the majority of my childhood. It's very little specks of, you know, memory here and there with massive blank bits. But what I feel is that it had a big impact on my experience of what are relationships about. And for me, relationships became scary. They became connected with rejection, with abandonment, with fear. It feels as if I began to build a wall around my heart.
Yeah.
To protect myself from that, you know, from that pain that I felt as when I was so little.
This wall,
Mm-hmm.
you have it here in front of you right now. I have it here in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
What's it stopping coming through?
Mm-hmm. It stops everything. It stops the love, and it stops the fear, and it stops the pain, you know. And I think what initially happened was that the idea was, okay, well, if I build this wall, then I won't feel any more pain.
Yeah.
But later on, what I realised was that wall was also stopping me feeling alive, was stopping me feeling love, was stopping me feeling joy. It's kind of, you know, if we could just have a wall that was, you know, that had sort of filters in it, valves in it.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
That let the love in, but sort of blocked out all the scary stuff, you know?
Yes.